A little while back, I did a video on the Dan Harmon story circle, where I broke down Dan Harmon's typical structure for how he plots his stories. That includes stories from Community, Rick and Morty, and HarmonQuest. And at the time, I promised I was going to read you a sample story that I plotted using that structure. I did this just kind of on a whim, just to see if I could break it down, just see if I could just come up with, without even a story idea, just dive into it and structure a story in essentially one go. And this is what I came up with. Judge it for yourself. This is a rough draft, by the way, and it's not a full story. It's more of like a treatment, kind of like an outline, kind of like a treatment of a story. If you don't know what a treatment is, I'll do another video on those. But a treatment is similar to a synopsis of a story. It's kind of just telling most of the story instead of showing the parts that should be shown. So the first step, the first beat of the Harmon story circle is you. This is where we establish a character in a zone of comfort. Randolph Scott, a 28-year-old accountant with social anxiety, sits in a dark corner of a coffee shop sipping a vanilla latte and reading a light novel. We established our character, we established his zone of comfort. The second step is need. What does the character need? What is the character lacking in his life? The need. He can't focus on the novel because his eye keeps drifting to the barista, Kim, early 20s, who served him his coffee. She seems to not notice his attention as she wipes down the counter, smiling sweetly and whistling the tune to Baby Got Back. He's been coming to this coffee shop every day for a month, trying to gather the courage to ask Kim out. He's spoken a lot of words to her, but all they've amounted to is the names of every drink on the menu. And he's getting kind of sick of coffee and himself. Now there's the go. What's going to push our character out of his comfort zone and force him to go into the story world, to leave his normal world? Just because he has a need doesn't mean he necessarily needs to pursue that need. What's going to force him out of his shell? Go. Trying to focus on his light novel and not look like a creep, Randy is jolted by shouts from the coffee shop counter. A huge man in his 40s is berating the barista, Kim, for not getting his order quickly enough. Randy can smell the stench of booze on the man from 20 feet away. The man is red in the face and leaning aggressively over the counter. Kim is keeping her stoic composure and responding calmly, but Randy can see the fear in her eyes. Next beat is search. This is where the character leaves the comfort zone. Now that he's been forced out of it, and he leaves the comfort zone and he starts trying to seek to fulfill his need. Search. Before he realizes he's doing it, Randy is up and on the move. His crippling social anxiety and fear of conflict are forgotten. His eyes are fixed on the angry customer and the terrified barista. As the man leans back to propel himself into another tirade at the poor Kim, Randy slips his thin frame between the man and the counter. He stares straight into the man's red eyes and raises his hands in a stop motion. The man's giant fist collides with Randy's cheek and sends him spinning backwards over the counter. Find. This is the step where the character figures out or finds the path to get what he's searching for, to fulfill his need. The find step. Randy flops backward over the coffee counter, limbs flailing, and lands face down on something soft. He shakes his dazed head to clear it and opens his eyes to see Kim staring up at him with a look of concern. He gives her a weak smile. "Hi," Randy says. "Hi," Kim replies. Notice he's now said something to her that was not on the coffee shop menu, hence the find. Now we have take, and this is where the character gets what he wants, takes it, but must pay a heavy price for it. This is part of the arc. The paying of the price is one of the most important steps of the story. A huge hand grabs the back of Randy's shirt and hauls him up. Once again, he's staring into the angry eyes of Kim's irate customer. The man cocks his fist back for a knockout punch. "Here's your coffee, sir," Kim's voice says. She pours the scalding liquid on the big man's head. With a scream of rage, the man hurls Randy across the store. Randy collides with the table and tumbles to the ground in a heap. Holding his palms to his face and still screaming, the big man rushes from the store while steam gathers around his head like a storm. Randy feels a gentle hand on his bruised shoulder and looks up. Kim smiles down at him once more. "Thanks," she says. Now we have the return. So he left our zone of comfort. Now he's going to be returning to his zone of comfort. And here's what the return looks like. Kim helps Randy back to his feet. Kim. So that was Randy. Don't mention it. He staggers back to his table in the corner, collapses into the seat, and closes his eyes, trying to slow his heartbeat. He hears a clunk. He opens his eyes to see Kim setting a fresh mug in front of him. "This one's my favorite," she says. "Thanks," he replies. His grin feels almost natural. And change. We've already kind of seen Randy's change. He returns to the zone of comfort. The character, the hero, returns to the zone of comfort, having changed, having learned and grown somehow from the experience. Mainly from the price he paid, but also from what he did over the course of the story. Change. He takes a sip, trying to ignore the barista's eyes boring into his skull. In his distracted attention, he dribbles hot mocha down the front of his shirt. The barista laughs and hands him a napkin. "I'm Kim, by the way." He smiles back. "Randy," he says. "Nice to meet you, Randy." She winks and returns to the counter. Randy wipes the coffee off his shirt and then pauses. He lifts the napkin to see a 10-digit number printed on the back side of it. He looks up and meets Kim's eyes at the counter. She blushes and looks away. Randy grins as he tucks the napkin into his coat pocket. The end. I'm not going to say that that's a great story. It's not the next Casablanca. It's not the next Godfather. I don't really often write meet-cute scenes either. I haven't written a whole ton of romance, but that one just kind of got stuck in my head, and I wrote it out, and I think it seems to fulfill all the steps of the circle. He's got a character arc. He changes. He's paid the price to get what he wants, and what he actually needed was not to talk to Kim. What he actually needed was to grow a pair, right? He actually needed to take a step of his own, and he did that. He paid a price for it, but learned that the price was not so bad. The reward was worth the price. However you guys want to do this, however you want to plan your story is up to you, but if you're wondering about how to use the Dan Harmon Story Circle, well, that's how I do it, and you guys are welcome to copy me however you like. Great artist steal, after all. And so please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear what you took away from this. And if you have a short story structure that you want to post down there, I'd love to see it. I'm really curious. And like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And until next time, good luck and good writing. Peace.